Today's talk is called How to Embrace Change. Change is inevitable. It happens. It just happened to Jane. Change happens. Change happened to me a few weeks ago when my mom died. Change happens. Change happens in health. It happens in money. And most of us are not all that good at dealing with change. Even when we think we are, we tend to like run into things that we didn't even know would happen. Like, for instance, the other day my wife and I found out they were turning off the electricity to our building, our apartment building. And Ash works at home. So she needed to come to my office to work that day because there wasn't going to be any electricity there. And both of us thought that would be no big deal. It'd be easy. So she comes to the office, and it totally stresses her out in terms of how it interrupts her routine and rituals, and me in my office and how I do things. Now, it didn't take us long to realize that we were being stressed out by this, and by the end of the day, we were laughing about it, and we had a really great time together. But it really showed us how easy it is to, when even small changes occur, how big they can affect our emotional state at that time if we are not staying consciously aware of what is going on. There we go. The thing about change is because it's inevitable, it tends to give us small signs before large signs. Mom was really great about embracing. When she found out she had 6 months to live, she became very curious around what it is she could do with the last 6 months of her life, and went about doing some amazing things with it and spent it in such a brilliant way that many of us around here were like, wow, that's how I want to spend my last 6 months, having that much fun and going out with that kind of curiosity. And that's the kind of thing you want to bring to when change occurs, even though, for most of us, the change is hard. It can be hard. Now, I don't want to affirm that, but it's just the experience that many of us have when we haven't learned how to embrace and be curious about whatever change is going on. I can't tell you the number of people who have come to me and said, I hate my job, I want to quit. And I have to point out to them that change doesn't have to be drastic. That what you have here is being at your job, quitting your job, and all the things in between that are possible, because we know in this movement, anything is possible. And so I asked somebody, have you ever asked for what you wanted to have your job be great? And mostly you get a response like, no, my boss would never give that to me. And I said, have you asked? Because what's the worst thing that can happen since you want to quit anyway? You make a stand for what you want, and if you don't get it, either you quit or get fired anyway. But if you don't make the stand, you never know how change can be served up to you in a way in which your life can thrive. Here's the kicker. No matter what the change that happens in life is, you can thrive in it. That possibility exists no matter what the change, no matter if it's a diagnosis, loss of job, loss of relationship, it doesn't matter. If a change occurs, there has to be a way for you to thrive in it, and it begins with you being curious. You must be curious to the change and must know that somewhere in here is a way for me to thrive. There's a way for you to thrive. You got to get in there with it. You got to be there with it so it can hold you, so you can hold yourself, love on yourself, and allow whatever the way to thrive in it is to emerge, because it has to be there. That's how this teaching works. That's how life works. It's only us who goes, oh no, I'm devastated by what just occurred, instead of how do I thrive in this? For 5 years, have been talking about wanting a dog. But it wasn't the right time. And I had all these reasons and excuses for what was going on. A couple of weeks ago, my wife and I start talking about it more seriously. And then one night, last Friday night, I couldn't sleep and I get on the internet and start looking up rescue places in our area because I've always had, when I've had a dog, it was a rescue dog. So I get on there, and because I follow that inner curiosity in me, and when I have urges, I don't deny them and say, oh, I'll wait till tomorrow. I act on them immediately. And this is how it works, right? So I'm on the internet and I go to the rescue sites, and they're actually not very user-friendly. And so I thought, why don't I try Craigslist? And so I go to Craigslist, and it turns out 5 minutes before I got on, somebody posted a puppy. And I go and I look at this puppy, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen. And so I send the person an email saying, okay, I want to see this puppy. And the very next day I go and meet the puppy, and this is my puppy, and I now have a puppy named Buddy. It's a cute, and you know, when you do that, when you follow those urges and you do it that way, it turns out, I mean, this dog I got, first of all, it doesn't shed. Secondly, it's a cross between a border collie and a poodle. Its sprains are off the charts. This thing I've had it since Friday. It fetches, it sits when I say sits. It's crate trained and almost completely trained to go outside. And we're talking what, 4 or 5 days. I mean, the perfect dog, amazingly. And it's not amazing to me because synchronicity, that's how it works. When you're willing to simply be with change and have it flow in the perfect and right way, and know for yourself that there is a way in which you can have change with thriving, that you get to thrive in your life. The deeper we can understand this particular concept, and the better we can embrace the changes that are absolutely inevitable in life. Change is inevitable. So what we want to do is make sure that we are moving with those changes in a way that supports us to rise, that supports us to have brilliance. And it's only when we get devastated by change and let it bring us down that we miss the opportunity that must be there for us. I encourage you to embrace your change no matter what it is. Even if it doesn't feel good, there has to be something in there and a way for you to thrive from it. Since my mom's death, I have had so many brilliant changes around my health, my well-being, and my way of being in the world that I would have never imagined could come out of something as devastating as a death. And yet, I am clearly thriving. And know this for all of you as well. Thank you. And that is my talk for today.